Got it.
Is that you, Faith? So before I begin, I'll just, I posted today that the meeting in Hampstead, I've cancelled because I found out yesterday that it's Tony Parsons' first meeting since the beginning of lockdown, about a mile down the road from where I'd planned to do my meeting at the same time. So for a whole host of reasons, I've decided to cancel that. Seemed like the right thing to do. So sorry if you were hoping to come to that. I'm probably going to go and see Tony because there'll be quite a lot of old friends, I don't doubt. That's the 21st of May. So the next meeting in Hampstead will be the 18th of June.
Faith just wanted to say something. Faith?
Faith, yeah, go on, Faith.
You're muted.
I wanted to ask, is Tony at College House?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I didn't fancy being in competition with Tony. And it seemed a bit disrespectful as he hasn't done a live meeting for so long.
It should be a good party.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I guess it will be. I have booked my flight to the USA, which will be the week after the 18th. So that will be the 25th, the weekend of the 24th, 25th, 26th in North Carolina. That's exciting.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I missed that.
I've booked it's got the weekend retreat in North Carolina. Asheville in North Carolina is going ahead on the weekend of June 24th, 25th, 26th.
We just came back from there.
Really?
We love that area. Are you doing the retreat yourself?
Trey Carland is organizing for me.
Oh, good. Can you send us info?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's all the info is on my website. That's enough plugs for today. So when we're speaking about this, when I'm speaking about it or anyone else, or when you hear it being spoken of or you're reading what someone's written about this, it doesn't mean they know what they're speaking about. It doesn't mean they understand. It doesn't mean that what they're saying is an explanation. There is no explanation. And the wonder is that there's none required. Now, that is never satisfactory to self. I always want an explanation. I always want to understand. I always want to know. That's not what's being spoken of. The absolute best you can hope for is description that seems to resonate, that seems to fit, that seems to go, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, that's it. I don't know what that is, but yeah, that's it. That's the best you can hope for. If you think that there are some speakers who really do know what they're speaking about and they have a clear explanation of, of this, that's all illusory. I mean, even the description, which is all we have, even that is, that's not what's being spoken about. It's a futile, and often it feels pathetic attempt to describe everything that is nothing. So all there are descriptions that you like or dislike. There are no descriptions that are closer to the truth or further away, because the whole notion of truth or reality is the whole illusion that there could be closer. This is already all there is. And so there is no closer or further away. That is the freedom and the peace. There is no one who knows more or less, regardless of what they appear to know, or regardless of their ignorance. Such a simple, ridiculously simple freedom and peace. And yet it's so empty. It's empty of seeking, empty of questions. Empty of path or journey. Empty of hope. And yet not hopeless. Empty of meaning, yet not meaningless. Empty of purpose, and yet purpose appears. Truly unconditional. There are no exceptions. Nothing is excluded. Just as this is. Just as life is. In all its amazing glory. Absolutely mysterious. And yet the mystery is the mundane. No hope of miracles. This is the miracle. This is miraculous. The only miracle. Always. This doesn't ask any questions. It can be very disconcerting because there's nothing for you to do. There's nothing that needs to be done. Doing happens, but there's no need. Life does not ask anything of you at all. You ask of life. The other yous ask of you. But this is not questioning or demanding. And so this is okay, regardless of what's happening. I don't mean that I'm okay or you're okay, or even that life is okay. I mean that it's okay even when it's not okay. Simply, and that okayness is just because everything is as it is. Can you hear Poppet? It's got commentary going.
You hear the pigeons as well.
And the pigeons. So if you want to share anything, then by all means, just put your hand up or write in the
Hi, Tim.
chat. Hi, Colleen.
Hi.
Hi, how are
When are you coming to California?
you? Now that is a long flight.
Yeah. I like what you're saying. I feel like, people wake up and get enlightened and whatever, and then they just make up their own little riddle. Everyone has their own little riddle, right? And
Well,
the mind goes from riddle to riddle like fucking candy, picking out the whatever. I mean, my latest one was I was listening to that Andreas dude, and I love his little
dude.
I love his little riddle. I mean, it's like, I wait for him just to giggle, because that's like all I care about now. I mean, this thing was so serious for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard the nothing guys a long time ago. I called you guys the nothing guys.
Right.
And, you were only halfway there, right? And so.
Yeah, of course. I have it suggested to me quite frequently.
I see the other people now as only halfway there, because to me, getting there is getting to the simplest fucking thing, which is what you said. Nobody knows anything.
No.
Right?
Well, and that's the love. When you realize that everyone just, you can pretend to know whatever you like, but it makes no odds, really.
Sorry,
Am I muted?
I think I just muted. Was it Colette that was talking? You can unmute. Sorry, Colleen.
Have you muted her?
I think I did.
He's cutting me off. Mic
Sorry,
drop.
Colleen. Sorry.
Darren's just taken an executive decision. That's enough.
That's it.
Enough.
I mean, the one thing that I've seen through my life, I've seen a creative intelligence working in my life. I didn't choose to see all this shit and then obsessively follow it. I mean, so I know I'm not in charge because I didn't choose this. Who chooses this insanity? I mean, it's
you wouldn't choose it, would you?
No, you wouldn't choose it. And so for me, there must be an answer because I didn't choose it. Not an answer, but like
Well, that's
There-
that is the great. I mean, that's why spiritual seeking is so popular, because that's what I was speaking about at the beginning. Really, self demands an answer. I want to know. There must be. I mean, there's very few cells, very few human beings who will accept that there isn't an answer, and even more, or even rarer, are human beings who go, "Well, there's none required."
Right. Well, I mean, you know,
I mean,
I've been surrendering for 30 years. So like I
well,
have no problem surrendering. It's like I'm not in charge.
Well,
But this was another level, because what happened is like it took away my passion for anything that I wanted to do in life. And I wasn't expecting that. I was like, what the fuck is this? I mean, you know.
what we're speaking of is that there's no one to surrender, Colleen.
Yeah. Right.
So I mean, I'm speaking about there's no need for you to do anything.
Yeah.
But there is freedom to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is no, I mean, the whole notion of surrender is just another thing for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that will
What I
help
mean,
me.
what
That
I
will
mean by
help me on
what
my
I
path.
mean, right? But what I mean by surrender is that the surrender was I'm not in charge, and then I'm not, whatever I is I mean, I, you know, is not there. It's just the not being in charge of anything, whether, you know what I mean? I mean, it started off just as surrender, you know, because I quit drinking 28 years ago and I had to surrender and do that whole thing. And then it turned into this whole other thing, like, oh, you know, I am completely not in charge. I don't understand how people out there walking around don't see that no one's there. I mean, no, where were we before we were born? We were nothing. And then when we go, nothing's left. The universe, little universe that we were, is gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone. I saw my dad's dead body. I went into the mortuary. I didn't want to go, but my brother said, come on, let's go look at him. And I had never really seen a dead body. And I thought, okay. And, you know, I loved my dad. And I went in there, and but he had been dying from Alzheimer's for years, and it was awful. We watched that go down. And so I went in there, and there's a piece of meat on a table.
Yeah.
It was really good to see it, you know? So yeah, right now, that's it.
Yeah.
I think I heard you talking on Andreas's sat saying, yeah, I was listening to one of his meetings, and I heard you in the background. I recognized your voice. And you said, oh, you go, oh, that's a shame. I kept saying that's a shame that we.
I went to see Andreas quite a few times.
Well, I just wanted to say hi. So.
Oh, hi, Colin.
I appreciate your laughter.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody just asked, who's Andreas? Andreas Muller.
He's a jolly little leprechaun. That's how I see him.
Yeah, I'm not. He's a lovely guy, and he speaks very clearly about this. But again, you know, everyone who speaks about this, it has a different flavor.
That's what I was saying. We're all individuals in the
absolutely.
Story, right? So we're all going to wake up and have some different little riddle that, you know, you just can't take it too serious. Like you were saying.
Well, I mean, you don't have a choice about whether you're taking it seriously or not. I mean, there's the great, that's the real bummer. You know, that
it's gotten way less serious.
Maybe you think the answer is to lighten up, but there isn't a you to lighten up. There's,
Okay, well, I'm going with the lightening up thing right now because
well,
it
that's,
feels.
yeah, well, good luck. Yes. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. That's great. But, you know, whether there's self is a serious business. You know, my life is, oh God, it's a serious business, isn't it? Making my life a success, and for most selves that means this total fiction, which is called happiness, a happy life.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's total nonsense. Life is the richness, the fullness of life is in everything. All experience, all feelings, all emotions, all sensations. You don't.
Yeah, I
The
had
illusion
that.
is that if you're positive, or even if you lighten up, then, you know, I will be happier or life will be easier. No, I have nothing to say about life being, you know, making your life happier. I'm never speaking about happiness.
Well, yeah, everyone starts out off not wanting to be human anymore. I mean, that's what I started off like.
Right.
I don't want to
Right.
be human. Fuck this. I want, you know, and what happened is I saw that I wasn't my mind, and I realized, oh my God. And then, oh, it's just this. And then I'm looking at lizards in their eyes and we're becoming one and all that stuff, right? And then this teacher told me, no, but it's everything. And I couldn't understand what she meant. And then my little 2-year-old dog died on the floor right in front of me. And, you know, and the days before I had been walking around saying, I'm the infinite supply. I'm the infinite supply. And then my little dog died out of nowhere in front of me on the floor. And it was just like, oh, I'm fucking human. But it was a horrific, beautiful, horrible cry.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and like, I understood more what you guys say about that, the beauty of the horror, you know?
Well, there's so much love in grief.
Yeah, I love that. I love hearing that. There is so much love in grief. It is just love. Yeah.
And what I mean, there may be some speakers who really, this can sound kind of transcendent, but there is no one to be transcendent. I mean, it's the end of all notions of transcending being human. They just become quite amusing, really. They're just laughable.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the things I was listening to were about transcending the human.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out the emotions, and so you can like complete them, and they're on their own journey to enlightenment. And oh my God, that sounds like way too many lifetimes of work.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, most human beings are trying to just to avoid, you know, what they've decided are the bad bits about being human: sadness, grief, loss. But then there's a very large group of human beings who are trying to transcend actually being human. A lot of spirituality is really, that's the core of it.
But there is, it's much easier to, I've been feeling my whole life. I've never had a problem with that, but there was a story attached to every feeling that was just this poor me, awful thing. And it is easier now because the story isn't there. The story is, it's like the emotions are more like energy rather than coming from a self story, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Colleen.
Okay, bye.
Philippe has his hand up.
Hi, Philippe.
Hi, Tim. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I have a question about meditation. But I have to thank you before that I don't feel that here there is kind of non-dual police. I feel your message very free about from non-dual police, you know. So I think I can speak about meditation.
Well, I like to think we're a police-free zone, but I don't know. You know, you never know though, because they're lurking. You know, there's a lot of plain clothes, undercover cops.
I have put my question on paper to help my my English. There are no rules after the disappearance of separation. For some characters, perhaps as you, there can be an increase of the passion to play golf, possibly. And I guess I don't play golf, but I guess that golf can bring some joy and well-being to the character.
And a lot of disappointment.
Disappointment, yeah.
Yeah, mostly.
And my question about meditation, can it be the same for meditation before or on after liberation, if I can use the term liberation? Meditation can be very relaxing even after liberation?
Of course. Yeah, exactly. So Philippe likes to relax by meditating, and Tim likes to relax by hitting a golf ball and swearing when he hits a bad shot.
Yeah.
But there is no, you know, they're all doing is equal.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
Meditating, playing golf or drinking beer, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well, but the wonder is that, of course, all the doing different things is doing different things.
Yeah.
But there is an absolute equality in that. There is no higher or lower.
Yeah.
I do think that is one of the key. That's one of the reasons to speak about this, is because it's the complete death of, oh, that's good for me, that's bad for me, that's worthy, that's, I don't know, that's, oh, that's dirty, that's that's unworthy.
Yeah.
You know, that's holy, that's profane. All of it, it's just all of those judgments of right and wrong, really, you know, wrongdoing and right doing. It was when I was teaching RE, that was one of the things I liked. Buddhism, it attracted me because it was the only religion without a God, I thought. So, and it seemed like, well, that's attractive. That sounds really interesting. And of course, the whole notion of enlightenment sounded attractive. And then I got to the Eightfold Path. And then I realized, oh, it's as bad, if not worse, than Christianity in its judgment of what is good and what is bad, you know, what is right and wrong. So there were these 8 right things that you had to try and do every day.
Yeah. And
I just thought, well, that sounds fucking dreadful. How to make yourself feel really shit every day that you can't live up to this unreachable benchmark of rightness.
Yeah, I have come through a lot of things to do and not to do in Buddhism. And they say that this is not a religion because there is no God, but in the same time, Buddha is considered as omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. So it's quite
What's the difference?
Strong as God. Yeah.
I mean, there is great freedom to do whatever is preferred to do.
Yeah, and I know the answer, but I like to hear you speaking about it. For a character like say Tim, for example, if Tim feels that sometimes sitting in silence on a cushion is peaceful, or is peaceful, there will be a kind of attraction to come again on the cushion, or this is already so full that there is no need to be more relaxed or more peaceful, or
no. The only difference would be Tim would be attracted to lying on the sofa with a beer and a big bag of crisps, watching garbage on TV. Now that is not holy, but it just so happens that Tim is attracted and prefers what would normally be called quite unholy pursuits or pleasures. But that doesn't mean to say that, I mean, there is no sense that sitting on a cushion and meditating is more spiritual.
Yeah.
What seems to have happened, or what seems to be very clear, is that the whole notion that you can divide actions, doing, into spiritual and worldly is just nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the great divisions that human selves have made, that we've divided life, we've divided this into spiritual and earthly, as though there is some, I mean, it's a great separation, just that, isn't it? And it's built, I'm quite happy to say it's bullshit. Now, I know those who believe it's not cannot believe otherwise. So I wouldn't be trying to argue that it's bullshit. It's just such an obvious division that isn't there. I mean, where is that division?
Yeah.
Between, you know, body and soul is your body and soul
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
great one. I mean, what, who knows? Who came up with that?
Well, it's great to hear it again. But now in those days, there are the opposite too. When you say meditation in a non-dual field, it's like a sin, you know. So I am glad to hear that this is very free here. I can speak about meditation. This is the same as other
Yeah,
fields.
and I think, I mean, the desire to meditate, you could do it because it feels good, but
Yeah.
there is no point in doing it because it will bring you closer to non-duality.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
is no possibility of getting any closer.
Yeah, and this is
So
a
then
great
you'll just
relaxation. Yeah,
you just do it for fun.
yeah,
I mean, it always killed my back, and I couldn't even get close to a lotus. My hamstrings of 30 years of playing football far too short to do that.
yeah. Thank you, Tim. It's very
No,
free.
thanks, Philip. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with anything.
Yeah,
Freedom for preferences, natural preferences that what you've called yourself has, but really it's not. None of the preferences are yours. They're just naturally the human being that you call yourself. Freedom for preferences is one of the reasons we can speak of this as liberation.
yeah,
I mean, a very simple analogy would be the desire to give up smoking not appearing because it's bad for me.
What?
The liking of smoking happens, smoking happens. What doesn't happen is it's really, really bad for you. You shouldn't be doing that. That doesn't mean to say that if somebody's smoking in the room and I don't like smoking in the room, I won't tell them not to smoke in the room. It's all natural. But self is generally quite hard on itself about preferences. Self-righteous.
Kathy has a hand up.
Yeah. Hi there, Tim.
Hi, Kathy.
Yeah, I just, anyway, well, for 1 second, nobody's making the choice to smoke anyway.
No.
Okay, just wanted to be clear. I wanted to ask you, did you have your falling away on a school trip?
I wouldn't have said that was falling. Well, it was, all these things are hard to speak about. That was what is usually called an awakening experience or oneness experience, which didn't last any time, and then was followed by that really kick-started the seeking, you could say. So it was like, it's quite a typical description. I could describe it as the curtains were drawn back, and you could say this everything and nothing was revealed, timelessness was revealed, and then, but it didn't even last any time. So no, that wasn't the falling away. That was there was a short 20-year gap between that happening and falling away.
Oh,
But
was
of course,
the falling,
there was no falling away.
I was just going to ask that. What was the falling away? Was there a dramatic?
No.
No.
That was dramatic, and most people's awakening experiences are dramatic.
Yeah. I just thought, gee whiz, to be with a whole bunch. I know what school trips are like, to be with a whole bunch of kids.
Well,
And fall away. I said, no wonder why he quit.
well, I mean, that experience didn't last any time, so the kids didn't know anything about it. I seemed to return with no time had elapsed.
Okay, that's good to
So
know.
I was able to continue leading them on the up the hill.
Nobody fell off the mountain or anything. We walked off the mountain. Yeah. No, I thought that was.
But there was no noticing of the absence of me at all. I don't see how there can be.
Yeah, because you're not there.
No, it's like nothing's happened.
Yeah. And when
And
you
the
come back,
the nothing happened. The nothing is what is very obvious. In the absence of me, the nothingness, emptiness is so overwhelmingly obvious, palpable. And I'm not saying, I mean, there is no knowing that it will remain. So you hear stories. So is this permanent? No, nothing's permanent. There is no permanence. There is no continuation. The whole illusion is that you have a life and that you've had a life. That's your life story, and that you are alive, and that you will be alive tomorrow. Hopefully, it relies on hope for that. And that's where self lives. So self lives in this story of, I've had a past life. I mean this one, but again, many human beings will also talk about previous past lives as well. Self loves that. Self loves that as well. And of course, I have to be here tomorrow. Otherwise, I don't exist. I can't. If there is only this, which there is no self.
so
I can't live. The sense of me cannot live without its past, my presence, I'm present, and my fantasy, my imagination of my continuation into the future tomorrow. In this, which is all there is no self. Oh, hold on, I've just got to sort my computer out. It's not plugged in or something. Is that doing it? Oh, that's better.
oh
Oh, thanks, Kathy. Is that?
yeah. So just on the I'm just going to call it the return.
The return.
The return.
The sequel.
Yeah, and then that present past fantasy is back, correct?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I didn't. I mean, we have to just tell these stories. All these stories are just utterly meaningless. All of it.
Mm.
The problem with telling these stories, awakening stories, enlightenment stories is because there is massive danger in it, because there isn't danger, but there is a problem in that self can't help but go, oh, so there is hope.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that happened to Tim, that happened to Tony, that happened to Lisa, that happened. Nothing happened. There is only this happening.
Got it. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And so,
Cool.
I mean, the memory seems to, it doesn't work as well as it used to because it's not as important. I mean, memory here works okay, but I have to say it's not as, I remember what I want to remember. Memory is not. So memory still functions, but it doesn't, all the weight of memory has seemed to evaporate. I will say, apart from the emotion, I mean, if I can have powerful recall of a situation that happened and and emotions arise with that memory.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
of course, memory happens.
Yeah, it's hard. It's just, you know, I can't explain it. It's like, you know, I'm saying, oh, I'm grateful, and then I'm like, well, who's grateful? Who am I grateful to? Do you understand? And then you get into it. Well, just showing gratitude, feeling gratitude. Who's
Kathy,
all this?
no, there's great gratitude. There's much more gratitude than there ever was for me. Now, it doesn't need to make sense.
Yeah.
We're talking of the peace and the love that passes all understanding. All that means is it doesn't need to make sense. Gratitude is absolutely natural, but
gratitude, then you get into gratitude for what? Gratitude, you understand, it always becomes with an opposite.
Well, how about gratitude for everything?
What about gratitude for nothing?
It's the same thing.
Same thing. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know you can't get to the bottom of this.
No,
the top.
But again, I've said, oh, there's so much gratitude, and then self will say, yeah, well, who's grateful? Well, there's never anyone. All what we've called my feelings.
Yeah.
They're not mine. They're just, that's all that's being spoken about. The rest is just, is unspeakable. So the only message of this is that all of human, what we call my experience, my life, is just naturally happening. None of it's yours. And of course, that's what self won't have. Well, at least leave me with something. No. Life doesn't recognize you. There is no one. The only one that recognizes yourself, which isn't there, which is other selves, which is very ironic because of course they can never see you. You know full well no one has ever seen you. Right. Yeah. Every self knows this. I mean, that's very powerful. When self gets wind, I remember in therapy, and it hit me like a sledgehammer that I couldn't be seen, even by my brilliant therapist, who, I invested all my hope in her. And it was bloody obvious, she can't see me. Yeah. And then, oh my God, no one can see me. And then of course, the worst is, I can't see myself. Yeah. But I mean, it is horrific to self, really, truly, terror. There can be absolute terror in that. But there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to see. I mean, I don't know how much you've looked for yourself, Kathy, but you know, good luck with finding who you are truly. You know, true self, rather than this facade. I mean, how popular is that bullshit?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the know me is really unimaginable too, you know.
But look, it's not unimaginable at all, because it's
It
already.
is. It is what it is now, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I know what you mean. You are right that it's unimaginable, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no need to imagine it. It is what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Tim.
There is no know me, by the way.
There's no me.
No,
It's just no.
because of course, me is illusory,
Yeah.
as
As well as no me.
of course, know me is nonsense without me being true, isn't it? There's nothing to be absent.
It's just happening. It's all happening.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. What did she say? What did she say in the chat?
In chat, another Kathy says, some days it's terrifying, some days it's hilarious that no one can see me, that I can't see myself. Today it seems funny.
Yeah. Well, it is funny. I mean, it's not serious, but to self it is serious. So there can be like a noticing of, the word I use is emptiness, but by that I mean really just I can't find anything inside. I remember that sense, and sometimes it was terrifying, and other times it felt wonderful because, oh, what a relief. There's massive relief, but there is grief. I mean, it's very common if you touch on. If there's touching nothing, touching emptiness, if there's if even just for a few moments it's undeniable that everything is empty, it can be so overwhelmingly terrifying because self will come, if self appears again, that energy of, oh, I must be real, I must be, there must be my meanness, the meanness must be real. Otherwise, who am I? I won't know. The not knowing, the emptiness is so unknowable. There's nothing to know, that there's no ground. And this sense of groundlessness can be really overwhelmingly terrifying. Like, where do I stand? Well, the truth is you don't. And the wonder and the freedom is that you never did. There is no one standing. You don't stand on the ground. There is not you and the ground.
Philippe has his hand up.
Who does?
Go ahead, Philippe.
Philippe.
Yeah, if there is room for another little question. You don't speak about too much. I haven't here. You don't speak about liberation or you awakening, an energetic shift in boundlessness. The simple way I have heard you is the sense of me doesn't come back.
Yeah.
It is not an event.
Sorry, say that again, Philippe.
This is not an event.
No, well, here, the only event that I really speak about is that event when I was with the kids, when I was, you know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
30 years, that's
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yeah. So the simplest way to say it is the sense of me doesn't come back or doesn't appear.
Yeah, as a story, that is
Yeah.
what I could say that, but again, that doesn't really sound right
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the truth is, for all human beings, self is not a constant. You know, me does come and go. The sense of I is not. Sometimes it's really, you know, it's so full on and heavy and weighty, especially, you know, in when things, if self says this isn't how it should be, then self feels really heavy and solid. And then you know, all selves know moments of freedom from the heaviness of being me. That's really all I'm ever speaking of. I mean, there is no continuous self. That's illusory, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you can describe in the story, you can say that self fell away, but I have no experience of self falling away. I can't talk about that. As an event, really, there aren't any events. Events are just for storytelling. We just separate this in memory into separate events. There are no separate events at all. This is absolutely whole. And this is all there is. So we can tell stories about events, and that's what they are, stories with separate events. Because if we just say there's just this and it's whole, that's the whole story. And there's no more to say about it. And it doesn't make for good reading or for, you know, for conversation. But there are, you know, I was always waiting for the event, Philippe. Yeah, that's the golden carrot of enlightenment or liberation or awakening, whatever you're waiting for, that you will know when you're there. All I can say is you will not know when you're there. There's nothing to know. This is all. There is no there. There is no there. You could say there's only here, but without there's no here either. I mean, Eckhart loves all the here and now, and it's very popular, mindfulness and presence and being present. Yeah. But that's all just more shit for me to do. To be more present. How could you be less present? What about that? I mean, really.
Phyllis says in the chat, isn't it the identification that dissolves?
Yeah, you could say that. But then there's no sense, because I've been accused of this, so all you've done is disassociation. You are suffering from disassociation disorder, and all you've done is disidentify. You now have a self that is disidentified with itself and denies the existence of self.
This is a psychotherapist to say that.
Yeah, I mean, that I have that. But and I can see exactly why psychotherapists and psychologists and psychiatrists would say all that, because to them that's their story that makes sense. It's perfect, makes perfect sense. Makes sense to me if I remember, you know, some training, and it makes sense. But that's not what's being spoken of.
Yeah.
So there's no, right, the thing about the loss of identity is not that really. I mean, you can say that, and yet it's not true, because there's no one to have or not have an identity. So in a real sense, identity exactly is exactly the same. But it's not my identity. I mean, a lot of my old friends don't recognize me as, they don't see a different human being when they meet me. They don't think I'm radically, the character is not different. And that's all anyone knows, by the way. I can't emphasize this enough. You know, you think other people know you. Well, you know they don't, again. There's no you to know. Now that there is sadness in that. That can feel like a great loss. I grieved for myself. There was quite a lot of grief. I did, honestly. It's like being at your own funeral, which again, that's quite a nice, that's a common fantasy, isn't it? It's like being at your own funeral, but you're the only one who's crying. Nobody else has noticed that you've gone. And that's hard to speak about to your loved ones. So you've gone, but you're still here. If the emptiness does become apparent, I suggest you don't mention it to any of your close friends or family. Just find a few, you know, random non-duality groups and have a chat there. Because, you know, there's very few of your friends or family who will like you speaking about this. And there's been a lot of sadness for me in that. You want to share it. I so wanted to share it with them. But you fucking can't. You can't share it unless it's received. You know, it's just a gift. So you want to share the gift. This is the greatest gift you could ever give, but you can't fucking give it. I mean, there is really no receiver of it either. I mean, the gift is, but me won't have it. Me can't have it. So there's this can be really difficult. I'd be amazed if it's not for most. If you do have a sense of it and you do want to share it, I mean, this would be my advice, only share it with those who ask. Don't offer it. It won't be well received. And there's been great sadness here. There.
Viewer Russia has a hand up. Have you finished, Philippe? Yep.
Thanks, Philippe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Varisha.
I just want to say thank you. I really enjoy today what you are speaking.
Oh, thank you.
And it came into my mind when you said something about knowing, why I like the English so much. It's a special expression, what you have, guys. There was an English guy once at a motorbike meeting who said, "You never know until you know that you know. And even then, you don't know." Wow, this went in. I thought, wow, what a great saying.
I might use that. That's good.
Yeah, good one, huh?
Yes. Good.
Okay, I reminded Darren for Helsinki.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Thanks, Varisha. Yeah.
I really like to meet you. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it's nice. No, of course, and when I speak of not knowing or unknowing, then virtually every self says to me, "Oh, well, of course, well, you have to know that you don't know." And I said, yeah, I know that. But I don't know that I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I'm not a big J. Krishnamurti fan, but freedom from the known is good, is good. Freedom from the known. And really, that doesn't quite hit the mark, because it's freedom from the knower, really. Freedom from the one who needs to know. If it becomes unbearably obvious that this is unknowable, if the illusion of knowing that I know what I know, and there's more that I could know, and that will help me, if that disintegrates even a little bit, there will be fear, but there's great freedom. A really ordinary freedom. Because this is already free. Life is free. No charge. So it's a gift for no one, you know, an empty prize. But I mean, it is an empty prize, and yet, of course, it's absolutely overflowingly full. Life is full. You don't get to choose what's in the fullness. And that's, you know, that's my job. That's what self spends most of its time doing. Complaining about what's appearing in the fullness. And how to improve the fullness, or there is no improvement. And so you might like the idea, the notion of perfection. So this is already perfect. But that's completely redundant. There is no perfection. That is a total fantasy that self has. So this is neither perfect nor imperfect. But all ideas of perfection and imperfection are redundant. This is all. Doesn't mean you like it all the time. Doesn't mean there's happiness all the time. Doesn't mean that there's contentment. Or whatever you've fantasized about, okay, yeah, without me, then it would all be. No, it's just as it is. It's not, there isn't a way. This is always, always. Well, thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, it was lovely. It is absolutely lovely to speak about this. I mean, I have people say, well, why are you speaking about this? You know, even people who like it say, well, why do you speak about it? I went, well, because it's wonderful. Why wouldn't you want to share it? And it is beautiful, and it's so lovely to share it with you lot, because as I say, most of the, I don't speak about this from day to day, from week to week. So thank you for turning up, because otherwise I'd just have to just sit and record and then listen to myself and go, oh, that was really good. So,
Thank you, Tim. Thank you,
No,
Darren.
thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks,
Thanks.
Bye.
Tim and Darren.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was good. Oh, jeez, that was good.
Where's the record gone?
I might be able to do it here. Or can I?